Aloha, and welcome to How Did I Get Here? Philip and I met in a place called Zununa at Lago Atitlan in Guatemala. Zununa means hummingbird of the water, or the valley is often referred to as Hummingbird Valley. We met at Wednesday's Poetry, a place where people come together to read their own poetry, the poetry of others, and to get tea drunk. We met one day after one of the poeties, and he started to share with me his story of how he got to Zunana. I hope you feel inspired by his nomadic travels. Here's Philip's answer to, how did I get here?
How did I get here? Well, by tuk-tuk, initially. But I feel like you're asking a more deeper question than that. So, well, we should maybe say where here is. So here is Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. And how I got here was a calling to experience a deep immersion in learning about natural building. And I guess that's also a big part of what drew me to come to this part of the world. I came to Mexico at the start of December last year, and went straight actually from Mexico City. Well, first I went to Teotihuacan to see the temples, as I'd been reading Don Miguel Ruiz in the last couple of years before starting travel, and really wanted to start with connecting with some of the ancient roots of this place. And it was beautiful. Spent a couple of days out there and almost like felt complete just doing that. I could have just left, even just having seen the pyramids. It was such a powerful time. But I didn't. I stuck around and I went to a workaway in a obscure place called El Oro, which is a little mining town like an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Mexico City. No one knows it except for the people that live there, obviously. They know it. And I went to a farm there, a permaculture farm, where I was learning permaculture and natural building, and also like caring for animals. I spent 2 weeks there. So I guess that sort of shows like my intent from the start. Like I really wanted to kind of dive deeper into like learning some skills that I see as really important for building on land and building community, because I feel like I would say it's a gentle urgency now, but I think at the time I felt a bit more of like an emergent urgency to learn these things. And I guess that was born out of COVID, and also just like a kind of like a dawning that relying on external systems to meet my needs is probably not the wisest course of action. Maybe if I was like 75 years old, that could probably has enough longevity in it to see out your lifetime. But at 34, I don't think that's really going to cut it if I'm going to be able to like stand up in the world and provide for others and myself. I think I really feel a calling to learn how to be more self-reliant, but that's a funny term as well, because it's also a big part of the calling is community. Like, so I guess by self-reliance I'm referring to a self that's like an interbeing self, like it's not just localized within me, but it's more like self-reliant as a group, as a community, having the skills to build shelters from the materials right where we are, and to grow food from the earth like right where we are on our own land, and care for animals and care for each other. And so all of that has like been really alive in me, and I've experienced some of these things before, but really came in search of that when I came to Mexico and Guatemala. But things didn't quite work out so well in the permaculture farm that I was at in El Oro. I was planning to stay a month, but I ended up staying 2 weeks. I mean, I loved the work that I did. I was very impressed by the system that they had going there. I definitely learned a lot about animal care and compost, but also natural building. But I guess lots of workaways kind of work like you do whatever's happening at the time, and you just get given tasks. There's not a lot of like deep connection between you and the people you're working along with, and them getting to understand you, and also like teaching, like really teaching you how to do things and how to think personally for yourself about how you would implement these techniques in your own story, in your own plans, and so I guess some of that heart connection was kind of missing in that first experience on my travel. And so after that, the only other place I really knew about in Mexico was Mazunte. And so I went to Mazunte. I got to Pachutla like on New Year's Eve. Like hung out in a crappy hotel in Pachutla like on New Year's, which was actually that's not true. I was on a bus from Mexico City to the coast, to Oaxaca coast on New Year's Eve. I spent New Year's Eve on a bus, which felt like appropriate because I didn't feel as lonely because I was on a bus. Yeah, and I mean, I guess at a certain point on my journey, I felt a little bit almost stressed by this idea of like, I need to get my hands in the soil, I need to learn these tools, and it needs to happen soon. Like, I can see that my internalized capitalism and my overachiever was fully, I would get anxiety when I would go on the Workaway website because I was like, I couldn't find where was going to be the right place. My first experience had been okay, but also hadn't felt that good between me and the people that I was with. And it's like, how is this all going to unfold? And in the end, I did a yoga retreat, a 3-week yoga retreat in Hridaya Yoga in Mazunte, and made some friends there, and ended up staying in Oaxaca 2.5 months, and went to a festival on a cacao and coffee plantation above Mazunte, like kind of in the hills above Mazunte. And that was a really beautiful experience. And it was like ecstatic dance, but also there was a bunch of workshops. I did a voice activation workshop, but then also I met a guy named Didge who was giving a talk about natural building and permaculture. I did a 3-day permaculture like seminar series during this festival, and he was talking about doing natural building here in Guatemala, and I had actually a flight already booked before I got to Mexico. I had booked a flight to Guatemala just because I needed a flight out, so I planned that for 4 months after I got to Mexico. I had a flight. I had no idea if I was going to catch it, but I really liked what I was hearing, and I still really had strongly inside me this like, I want to get involved in this kind of stuff. I want to ultimately build my own community one day, and but first I know that I need to learn the skills, but also I really want to feel it on a heart level with the people around me. Like, I want it to feel good, and I want to feel connected, and I felt that with Didge, and I felt his excitement about all of this stuff, about building out of mud and using these different techniques, and I thought that was really cool. And so ultimately that brought me to come to Atitlan and do the workshop that he was talking about with his friend Ashley, who lives here in Sunana on the lake. And so in the end, I signed up and I came, and I did the 9-day course. That was last month. I was in early April, and had a beautiful experience. In a lot of ways, it was kind of everything that I was hoping to find on this journey. But it was interesting how it came to me. It was like I said, I was feeling almost like some anxiety about how am I going to make this happen? I really want to learn these things, but I don't know how and where. And for a long time on my travel in Mexico, I just started to let it go, and I started to just care for myself and, you know, just connect with people and just kind of explore and just wander and be a nomad for a while. And I work a little bit online as well, so I was still keeping that ticking along, and life just kind of started to unfold for me in Mexico, and I'd almost sort of dropped a little bit. I guess what I had dropped was the pressure, and in the end started to prioritize just the connection and kept feeling good and caring for myself, and pursuing what made sense today, like shortening the time frame, and yeah, just like less pressure on achieving outcomes and more just like living as well as I could where I was, you know. And I spent a couple of weeks surfing on the Oaxaca coast, and had a great time in Chiapas, and visited another community in Yucatan, which was really nice, but kind of doing different things there. Yeah, so like why I'm here now as well is interesting, because like I did that course and I was very inspired by the course, and then I've done a bunch of days volunteering, helping on the land there, continuing to build the project that Ashley and Didge are working on, and I've gotten to kind of get a bit more immersed in that. But then I've also made other discoveries here on the lake. Like I found also in Sunana, the Karuna community, connected a bit with those guys, shared some of my poetry there, and got involved in singing and some of the devotional singing and chanting and stuff that happens in Karuna. All stuff that I love, I've been inspired by for a long time, and it's just been quite remarkable, really, like what I've felt here around the lake, like different things that I'm really like passionate about, from different parts of my being, parts of my story, parts of my ancestry as well. Like I have Indian heritage, like my mum's from India, and like the devotional aspects of that have been a big part of my spiritual path, and my love for that really grew when I was living and traveling in India, which I did in the past, and it's been nice to sort of feel that awakened here. And I'm a bit of a budding poet slash writer, you know, and like to get to share my poetry a bit and to receive, you know, a lot of appreciation for that and good feedback from people that are kind of actively encouraging people to come out of their shell more and share more. And I guess that all really moved me, you know. And like Atitlan is special in my story as well, because recently I left here. I went to Honduras to do some diving, because I wanted to go and do scuba diving, and so I spent 2 weeks over there. And yeah, Atitlan is the one place that I have backtracked to come back to, you know. I was thinking I was going to go to Nicaragua, but no, I just, when I asked myself what do I really want to do, it was like I want to come right back here, you know. It felt really good after, you know, being a nomad and traveling kind of from place to place and being a bit of a rolling stone, and, you know, sort of like connecting with people for a few weeks or however long and then rolling on. It felt really good to hatch a plan to come right back here. And, you know, I planned from Honduras, I contacted Luke at Karuna and organized that I could stay there. And since I've come back, I've just leapt right back into all those things that I love about this place. And that's how I met you as well, was sharing some of our poetry at Karuna. So yeah, I feel like in a really interesting way, like what I've found here in Atitlan, and particularly in Sunana Valley, is like just it can't be denied that it's just like feels like a coming together of everything that brought me to this part of the world everything that I was looking for, but also a lot of things that I struggled around when I first came here. But then it's also a bit of a testament to my perseverance, and I've been willing to invest in it and pay for a course, and it's really brought a lot of good to my life, that I've persevered on this path this far and come to this place. And I guess that is kind of like a coming together of all of that, is how my time here now kind of comes to an end. Like in a few days I'm about to move on and head to the States to go see my grandparents, and maybe make a bit of money while I'm in the States as well. And then I'm already kind of planning how I can come back long term. Feels like there's some kind of momentum that's taking me forward to what I want to do and where I want to be. And at the moment it really does feel like it may be here, or at least that's what I'm leaving here with, that feeling. So we'll see. Not too like heavily attached to that either. I think I'm just gonna let it unfold as it needs to. But yeah, that's how I got here.